Ever feel like initiating sex is way harder than it needs to be, and you can't really put your finger on it as to why? It's not just about what you're doing in bed, it's way deeper than that. And today, I'm gonna break it down for you. Hi, Dr. Catalina here, the Intimacy Doc. I'm the psychologist who helps you have the great sex and intimacy you desire and deserve. Today, I'm going to expand on my previous video where I talked about the struggles of initiating sex. We're not just going to talk about tips and tricks. It's way deeper than that. We're gonna talk about the real reasons why there's probably crickets in the bedroom and you or your partner aren't really initiating and why it's happening. We'll explore what happens out of the bedroom is what's impacting you in the bedroom, and how often at the core of this is this deep feeling or fear of rejection, and how you can begin to nurture that. Many women and men struggle with initiating sex in long-term relationships, and it sometimes doesn't make sense because of anywhere from fearing rejection or really having a deep discomfort with being vulnerable and actually surrendering to your partner. And you know, when we talk about it in long-term relationships, it's like, how can this happen? Research has shown that the two main barriers that inhibit people from initiating sex are fear of rejection and performance anxiety. Those are two such common core worries and concerns that unfortunately keep people disconnected and putting themselves out there and being vulnerable to both physical and emotional intimacy. Rejection isn't necessarily about feeling rejected or being rejected right in the moment. Humans are social mammals, and at the core, we are looking for longing and acceptance. And once that rejection wound gets triggered, those messages are going to impact your perception of your self-worth, how lovable you are, how wantable you are, how good a lover you are, how good a partner you are. All of those things get triggered, and the next thing you know, your body is just become comfortable with staying disconnected without initiating. Because again, initiating is taking a risk. It's putting yourself out there, and all your body wants to do is protect itself from that discomfort of feeling rejected. In a relationship, feelings of rejection, they can stem from miscommunication, promises not met, unmet needs. These can be emotional, physical, concrete in the relationship. Fundamentally, when someone feels rejected, that impacts their perception of trust with this other person. Well, when it comes to physical intimacy, your body relies on that trust. It has to have that trust. One of the ways that you can better address your fears of rejection is really to start to ask yourself questions. Get curious. What am I actually afraid of here? Am I afraid of my performance? Am I afraid of being laughed at? Am I afraid of letting my partner down? What am I afraid of? And where did I maybe learn this fear? When did I first feel rejected? How has my fear of rejection impacted me in the bedroom, in this relationship? How has that kept me guarded from diving full into this relationship? And also, how has that affected me in other parts of my life? When you begin to have a better understanding and a heightened awareness of this fear of rejection, then you can learn how to actually not just nurture that, but begin to actually embody what it feels like to be accepted, what it feels like to take those risks and build up gradually the confidence where you trust your body to initiate, to be vulnerable in both physical and emotional intimacy. At the core of being emotionally vulnerable and wanting to initiate is a deep need for emotional safety. You maybe have heard people talk about, I want to feel safe in a relationship. What does that actually mean? When our bodies feel safe, our bodies trust that we can actually tolerate whatever circumstances are going to happen when we actually feel those emotions. Regardless of what will happen on the outcome, our body feels safe enough when it trusts that we can actually tolerate whatever emotions or whatever discomfort are going to come from whatever outcome. And when we talk about a relational safety, it's feeling held, feeling taken care of, feeling safe enough to be honest, to assert your needs, assert your fears, assert your desires without being judged, without being criticized, And too often in relationships, those criticisms come out on a daily basis. Again, outside of the bedroom, where,
oh, you're so lazy. Oh, you never do this for me. Or you don't care about what I want. Oh, you're such a loser at work. You're never going to get this.
I mean, a lot of couples talk about that, or they're avoidant and they talk about nothing. And in those relationships, those are the hardest because it's actually the lack of saying anything that is saying so much. It's that lack of encouragement, that lack of support, or that lack of trusting that your partner can handle any type of feedback about your needs. When you don't trust your partner with that and you suppress your needs, wants, and desires, you're not being fully honest either. And unfortunately, that's again creating this distance. And so in building our personal and relational safety in a relationship requires a lot of different strategies. It is absolutely possible. It's just that in long-term relationships, they are sticky as fuck. And unfortunately, when they're sticky, the behaviors are reinforcing one another. And they just keep on doing that over and over and over. And so it's really hard to change, but it's absolutely possible. Without that sense of safety, that cycle of disconnection and space between you and your partner is just going to continue. Again, we know that trust in a relationship and that personal and relational safety, emotional safety, feeling emotionally safe to be vulnerable and to disclose your needs, wants, and desires, and for that to actually just be heard, understood, and nurtured. So how do we do that? First off, if you already aren't having conversations about sex, don't start there. You have to start with first just everyday conversations. Say you've been holding out and suppressing, really feeling irritated with what your partner buys at the grocery. You have a preference for this type of pasta and they buy this type of pasta. If you already can't have those conversations, start there. Start with things that don't have as much power or meaning in the relationship. Begin to build your trust and figure out how you can communicate your needs, wants, and desires. And again, it matters, particularly if it's a known, that your partner may feel different or has opposing needs, wants, and desires. Practice outside of the bedroom talking about less sensitive topics. Learning how to repair. This is the most crucial skill a couple can learn, and it isn't easy. You probably weren't taught this or witnessed this in your own parents, maybe, and probably most people at work don't know how to take accountability for your role in a particular incident and also understand how that impacts your partner, and then making a commitment and actually taking those actions to do different next time to mitigate that. That's what an effective repair looks like. And again, if that's what is required to actually building trust, when you actually can do that, then helps you initiate in the bedroom, because then, something wacky happens, you try a new position and you say, oh, reset, let's do that again, or let's grab these pillows. When your body feels safe enough that you can make mistakes in the relationship, then that's when it's gonna feel safe enough to actually initiate and emote and just fucking be yourself. So once you have learned how to broach topics that are a bit more sensitive, then you can now begin to talk about your needs, wants, and desires and what your real fears are. What are your needs now that can help support you in feeling initiating? Again, it's not your partner's responsibility to change, but what you can do is make a request. You can say,
hey, I really want to take it slow, or I want us to do this during the day and then have lots of time to explore with this.
You can do a lot of those things outside of the bedroom. That's when you have those conversations. The reality is that if you're going to have those conversations, you also have to be willing to take aligned action. One, capacity doesn't just come out of nowhere. When you're working on your relationship and wanting the intimacy to be different, that's going to take more capacity than what you're giving now, because you're trying new things, right? Capacity doesn't come out of your ass. You actually have to create it, which means you have to take it away from something else. That means protected time to nurture the relationship, to actually prioritize the relationship. And I'm not just talking about date night once every month or once every 6 weeks, bullshit like that. Again, that's helpful for couples who are having sex regularly. But for the ones who don't, that doesn't generally do much because they end up just talking. The other thing is engaging in non-erotic physical touch. Holding hands, cuddling, taking showers together, which again, of course, can be erotic, but just hugging one another. Watching TV together. Those are all ways that you can begin to get your body more comfortable with feeling touched and feeling your partner's body and that closeness. And then again, playing with asking, asserting your needs, wants, and desires, even in that non-overtly sexual touch. If you can do all of these things outside of the bedroom, you're laying the groundwork to foster that safety and curiosity inside the bedroom. And that's really, again, the more you're able to do that, that breeds more safety and opportunity to initiate more, try new things. And that novelty is going to stimulate your body's improve arousal and boost desire. In conclusion, wrapping up, at the core of initiating, in my last video, we talked about those 5 initiation styles. And the reality is those are important, but at the core of those are how safe you feel to actually assert your needs, wants, and desires. How safe do you feel to just be honest? That's at the core of all of this. All right, guys, so again, I hope this was helpful. Please put your comments down below and tell me what's been blocking you from initiating. Answer those questions that I posed to you earlier. And check me out. We'll have another video next Tuesday. And again, let's keep this conversation going. Thanks for joining. Cheers.